Hello there. So I've been away for a while, but now I'm back, and I'm back with bad news. The bad news is that there's a war that is being prepared in the Greater Lakes region, and particularly in the East Africa, basically. And I'm going to give you details, but I want to start with this that about a week ago, the head of the CIA, the director of the CIA, the Central Intelligence Agency, William Burns, was in Kenya to talk with the Kenyan president. And it's very rare that the head or the director of an intelligence agency meets a president of another country. You can imagine the head of the intelligence in Russia, FSB, meeting the president of Kenya, or the head of the Chinese intelligence. I don't even know what they call it there. Meeting with a president of a certain country. So it's very rare. But William Burns, as you can see from this photo, flew to Kenya on the 20th and met with the president of Kenya. So it's all over the place. It's in the news. He was received. And according to people I've talked to who work in the government in Kenya, there was different things that they discussed. One of them was the Horn of Africa. So they were discussing Ethiopia and Somalia and Egypt. So they said Ethiopia and this breakaway region of Somalia called Somaliland are adamant in their deal. The Ethiopians want to construct a commercial port at this seaport called Berbera. You can go and Google that. They also want to construct a naval base, where you have navy. But after that, Somalia doesn't want that to happen because they consider Somaliland part of Somalia. And Egypt has come to the defense of Somalia. They have pledged that if Ethiopia makes that move, they are going to invade Ethiopia. And the reason Egypt is doing that is also, or has also, something to do with the Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, the dam that they constructed on the Nile. So Egypt has been looking for an excuse to bomb that dam so that they can continue receiving enough water in Egypt. Away from that, they also discussed Rwanda. So the head of the CIA was saying that they have intelligence to prove that there's a war that is going to take place between Burundi and Rwanda, and Burundi is going to be supported by Congo. So two countries are going to fight with Rwanda because of what Rwanda has been doing there. And we don't know where Uganda stands in all this. But if history is anything to go by, we know Uganda might try to fight for Rwanda or alongside Rwanda, or supply arms to Rwanda. So Uganda and Rwanda versus Burundi and Congo. That is the war. So the warning is that Kenya needs to take a central position in stopping this, because these refugees are mostly likely going to Kenya. So the Rwandan refugees, the people who have been oppressed in Rwanda for many years by the tyrannical regime of Kagame, will go to either Tanzania and Kenya. And that's where they're going. And the Somalis, if they're invaded, or Ethiopia is invaded, these refugees, because Ethiopia has been suffering a famine, a protracted drought and famine. People in Ethiopia are starving. So if they go to war, then it will push millions of people across the border into Kenya. So that is why they went to Kenya to tell the president of Kenya to stop pretending and try to stop this from happening. And tension between Burundi and Rwanda right now is at all-time high. It is at all-time high because the Burundi president is accusing Rwanda of training and arming a rebel group called Red Tabara. And this rebel group has been going to Burundi to kill innocent civilians. Like we witnessed in December, they crossed the border and killed 29 people. 3 were police officers, but most of the others were women and children who were passing near the police station. So the president of Burundi is not happy. And the Rwandan government has issued this statement. They issued it yesterday. So it is titled, it is on the Rwandan website, it is titled, Rwanda deplores inflammatory statement by the Burundian President Ndayishimiye. So they go ahead to say that the government of Rwanda has deplored the inflammatory and un-African statements made by the Burundi President Evariste Ndayishimiye during an event in Kinshasa on the 21st January 2021. That is, they say he said it last Sunday. And they are saying the president was acting in his capacity as the African Union champion for youth, peace and security in an event advertised under the banner of the Continental Organization. And he made several baseless and incendiary allegations aimed at inciting divisions among Rwandans and further jeopardizing peace in the region. So let me tell you what the Burundi president said. He said that the youths in Rwanda are in captivity. He says they live like slaves. He said that they can't even question their government. They don't have freedom of speech. They don't have freedom of movement. They are controlled in Rwanda. In other words, he was saying Rwanda is like the North Korea of Africa. He fell short of saying that. And it's true. What he said is true, right? And I'm going to explain to you later what he meant. But so Rwanda is not happy, and it rattled Paul Kagame. And the following day, on Tuesday, he had this National Umushyikirano Council. I don't know what Umushyikirano means, but it's more like the National Togetherness Council, whatever it means. So it was a council to address the government people in Rwanda. And he made the whole speech about the president of Burundi and about the president of Congo and about the situation in Congo. And his usual lies, where he says that the origin of the problems in Congo started with the Congo. When we know the events from 1996, when the Rwandan soldiers or Rwandan rebels, RPF, were going to Congo every evening to kill people there. A lot of us are not that old to forget, and we are not too young to not have heard about that. We know that. It happened 24 years ago, so it's not a long time ago.
Now there comes the Eastern Congo conflict as such. One, you try to do some research, do some inquiries, you do some intelligence. Rwanda did not in any way create this war that is happening in Eastern Congo. For me, I'm giving a fact. Go and investigate and prove me wrong.
And he wants to lie to the new generation of people that Congo started fighting when the war came from Rwanda. The Hutus, who were accused of committing the genocide, which they didn't commit, by the way, came from Rwanda, and they were pursued by the Tutsi because there was a civil war in Rwanda where the Tutsis, armed by Uganda and definitely armed by the CIA, because Museveni was getting the support from the Americans to remove a communist leader in Uganda called Obote. So armed by these Americans and the Ugandans, the Tutsis came to Rwanda and started killing the Hutus. And in retaliation, the Hutus, who are the majority, who are still the majority there, the ratio is 8:2, or rather 80% versus slightly 20% Tutsi there. The Hutus retaliated and killed a lot of Tutsi. Almost a third of the Tutsi population was killed. But the Hutus also suffered the same number of dead or casualty. But they were just lucky because they were majority. You understand? So these Hutus, the women and children, they went to Congo as refugees. And the RPF followed them to Congo to retaliate. And once in Congo, there are these minority Tutsi communities that were in Congo from 1950s. They joined these Rwandan Tutsi fighters to hunt down the Hutus. And after the Rwandans left Congo in early 2000, in 2003, 2004, the Bantu people in Congo remembered that those minority Congolese Tutsis were killing them alongside the Rwandans. So they also got guns and retaliated against the Tutsis. But bottom line is, the war came from Rwanda. It was brought to Congo by Kagame. That is a fact. And the other thing you need to know is that the events of 1994 made every Hutu seem guilty in Rwanda. So anytime a Hutu asks a question or wants to basically ask the government to be accountable, they are asked to keep quiet and accused of being Interahamwe. You can't ask a question in Rwanda. You can't protest the government in Rwanda because the government is a Tutsi government. Because anytime you do it, if you are a Hutu, you are accused of being a genocidaire, which means someone who committed a genocide. And today we have majority of the Rwandans, people born after 1994. We have 20-year-old, 22-year-old, majority of them 23-year-old Rwandans who are born 7, 8, and 10 years after the genocide happened in Rwanda. And anytime they talk, they are told, keep quiet. You are an Interahamwe. You committed genocide. And even after pointing out that those things happened 10 years before they were born, then they are told, your father participated. Your uncles participated. And by the virtue of that, you inherited their crimes. So that's what they are told. So you can't ask questions in Rwanda. You have to keep quiet. And if you are from the Tutsi community and you ask the same questions, then you are accused of being a sympathizer of Interahamwe. So you are also accused of denying that the genocide happened. So you are called a genocide denier in Rwanda. And that's what the Burundi president was talking about, that the youth in Rwanda live in captivity. They can't talk, they can't question. And he was asking them to come together, regardless of whether you're a Tutsi or a Hutu, and remove the bad government of Paul Kagame.